Hello and welcome to Coffee Hour, everybody. Tuesday. What month is it? Oh my goodness. Still May, I think. We're cruising along. We're almost halfway done with this year already. Yeah, pretty wild, pretty wild. Kirsten's here. We're just chatting. I imagine some other people will show up, but if not, oh well, then we'll hang out. And if Kirsten wants to leave, then it'll just be me. But Zoe's here, so looks like people are trickling in. Um, yeah, again, coffee hour. Got no real agenda today, so we can answer any questions. We can talk about whatever we want. Um,
I have a
what,
question.
yeah, go ahead, Kirsten.
Mm. I have a friend with migraine, and I've been bugging her for months now that I want to start neuro with her.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't, but now she says, "Okay, we'll do it." And I'm wondering where to start. If it's probably, I think it's a good idea to do to calm down her nervous because I've read it's always a problem with migraine. Mm.
Yeah,
Maybe you
okay.
have a suggestion?
Yeah, I do. Woo, yeah, this is a good one. So I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for Lisa to get here,
Unforgiveness
for
using
Zoe
AI companion.
to mute. Hey Zoe. Hi Kate. Hey Lisa. Um, so glad you're all here. Kirsten just asked a banger of a question. It's a good one. So she's got a friend who deals with migraines, and she is finally open to doing some neuro with Kirsten as her coach. Amazing. So, ideas. You ready? You can watch this recording or I'll send you a transcript, or you can take some notes, whatever you prefer. All right, so um, if this was my client, I would want um, a couple more clarifying questions. So, is it a migraine that only happens on one side, which is all migraines, by the way? They only happen on one side. If it's happening on both sides, it's not actually technically a migraine. It's a it's a headache. It's a headache. Could be a tension headache. Could be an ocular kind of headache. But migraines, just by definition, usually are one-sided. Um, Depending on exactly where it is and how it presents, might change the way that you deal with it. Okay, so that said, you can get some more information and we can dive down the rabbit hole further. But just in general, what I would do with migraines, um, so speaking very generally, there's usually a couple things that always happen with migraines. Number one, fuel is usually an issue. So breathing and nutrition, throw hydration in there too. Those are things you need to check on first and foremost. Like, how is their breathing? Is she a good breather? Does she have signs of like chronic hyperventilation? Signs like anxiety, cold hands and feet, um, over breathing, shallow breathing, transient pain that moves around the body, things like that could point to a breathing issue. That's definitely something you want to work on.
And I think she has all of that actually.
Okay, so breathing will be a priority. Okay. And then you can do any of your breathing drills that are going to help her get more oxygen. Some ones right off the top of the head, especially if she feels a migraine coming on, are bag breathing, possibly burst breathing, and straw breathing, or any kind of long exhales. But straw breathing is great because of the straw and the resistance. Okay, so fuel is usually always an issue. And sometimes getting somebody some quick fuel can stop a migraine.
Mm-hmm.
The other things that can stop it in its tracks oftentimes are um, inhibition tools. Um, Green glasses especially seem to help with migraines, but it could be any colored lenses or pinhole lenses or occlusion lenses with the tape.
Do you think it's useful if I test different colored glasses with her? Because when I meet her, she probably won't have migraine. Otherwise, I won't meet her.
Yeah,
Or is
yeah,
that
that's exactly what I would do.
okay?
Yeah, most of the time, hopefully you're not gonna see her when she's having a migraine because nobody wants her to have a migraine. But um, it does make it trickier. Um, but because that's probably going to be the case, yeah, you're just going to test everything and get her some really high payoff drills.
Okay.
Um, and the glasses are no different. So find ones that she likes, and those can be the ones that she tries. Okay, and then the other like big thing with migraines is that there's often an issue with the trigeminal nerve, which leads to um, the fuel and migraine issues. So, without getting too deep into how and why, if you work on the trigeminal nerve on the side of pain, it often can be really helpful. And so, what I would start with is trigeminal slacking or sliding. And we can go over those. And then I would try to tension the opposite side, which if you're doing if you're doing slacking of the trigeminal nerve on one side, it's tensioning the other side. So you're kind of already doing it. But do you remember how to do those? Do you want me to show you again real quick?
Yeah, show me again.
Yep. Um, so I'm gonna do a little assessment just because I haven't done these in a while. All right, so if I have a migraine on my right side, maybe it shows up like around my eye or anywhere up in the forehead or even back to here.
Mm-hmm.
That's all trigeminal nerve
Mm-hmm.
that innervates those areas. And there's a big component usually with migraines. So the trigeminal nerve, like just like any other nerve type pain, if we have nerve pain in an area, we usually want to slack that nerve, make it smaller, and try to get it to move so it gets unstuck and goes back to a normal level of tension. For the trigeminal nerve, I usually have a client put their finger right on the nerve root right here so they know what they're trying to slack. And then they're going to tilt their head towards that side and drop the jaw towards that direction. That's going to slack the nerve. And then they just do some light nods. You can nod up and down, and you can also rotate towards my finger. Pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Jaw
And
just popped.
and is she supposed to do that when she has pain, while she has
Yep.
pain?
Yeah, that would be another one that you would do right when you notice the signs that a migraine might be coming on.
Okay, well, it's coming up. Okay.
Inhibition, fuel, and then trigeminal nerve
Okay.
mobilizations. The sliding is just a little bit different. So if we start in the slack position here, I'm going to take my jaw into the tension position, and then I'm just going to switch. As my head goes the other side, my jaw switches.
Okay.
Just like that, back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, man, I just felt my whole neck just like melt. That was amazing. I'm gonna have to do that 20 more times today.
Can you remind me on straw breathing? Do you inhale through the nose and exhale through the straw, or do you do both through the straw?
Inhale through the nose, usually for like 2 seconds. Exhale through the straw for 8.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely exhale focused, and you want that resistance on the exhale. If you have that breathing device, your resistance trainer, you can train inhales and exhales with some of those, not all of them, but you set the dials for each. Um, but again, it all comes down to your intention. If you want to train the inhale, then you can do that. But most of our breathing drills are exhale focused. So we're going to be breathing in through the nose, out through the nose or the mouth, depending on the intention. All right, Kirsten. That's where I would start.
Mm-hmm.
That
Thank you.
is, yeah. Um, and then if you want to ask her a couple more questions, I would ask, where exactly is the pain?
Mm-hmm.
Like have her even draw you a picture on a head,
Mm-hmm.
point to exactly where it is, and then you can narrow down what might be a contributing factor.
Okay.
Um, and if she has any idea triggers for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is she light sensitive? Is she sound sensitive? Is it a combination? Is it after she rides in a car for a while? Or, if she gets hit in the head with a baseball or something, that might cause a migraine. You never know. But if you can figure out what the triggers are, then you can help her with some behavior change ideas, how to avoid those or mitigate those, inhibition tools that she could use in those scenarios, integration tools, if it's something like a sensory mismatch type thing. So if you get a little bit more data, we can be more specific.
Yeah.
But that would be a good place to start.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, Zoe, that's the breathing device I have too. It's got the 2 dials on it. Show me that one more time so everyone can see it. Yeah. What's it called? Sonmol. That's like the cheapest and best one on the market, I think. There's other ones that have the 2 dials like that, but they're $50 or more. Just like unnecessary. Does the same thing. And this is super durable too. Thanks, so. Um,
Brandon, what I like about it is that if it's for somebody who um, doesn't really know anything, all of the drills that you suggested will not hurt. They will do no harm.
um, you're mostly right. So
Okay.
the trigeminal nerve can be a little tricky. Remember, the closer we get to the brain, the higher the impact, right? So working with cranial nerves can be really powerful. It can also go bad really quickly.
Okay.
Same thing with vision drills, right? So you just got to be aware of that
Mm-hmm.
and just be watching your client for any signs of threat. But that said, and I say that too because when I said we're slacking this side, when I slack this side, I'm tensioning over here. So if I already had an imbalance to where this side was already higher in activation, and then I try to slack here and tension that and just push that imbalance further, that could cause threat to go up. It could. It doesn't necessarily mean it will. So you just want to watch it.
But I wouldn't necessarily see that immediately, right? I could, but maybe like when I did
Could.
excessively, I
Yeah.
I had the effect after like 2 weeks or something.
Oh, yeah, that's not really common. I mean, that could happen, of course, but you're gonna usually see some kind of smaller threat response in the moment
Mhm.
to let you know that you're getting into diminishing returns, or even like if your reassessment is negative, then obviously,
Yeah.
we pushed you into threat. But
Yeah.
even before then, you're gonna see some kind of threat response, smaller threat response, just like tension or their breathing changes. It can be very small. And the more precise we can get at seeing those things, the better our eye gets at catching up on those things, the better we get as coaches. And that just takes practice. But there is going to be some kind of signal from the system that you're pushing it too far. No different. That's with any drill, really anything. An ankle tilt is going to reach that point eventually. But it's so far from the brain and so low impact that it takes a little longer. Like you have more room to work in before you get to that point. Whereas trigeminal nerve or vision drills, even vestibular drills sometimes, you've got a very small window. Your perfect sweet spot might be 3 reps. If I do 2, I don't get a very good response or it doesn't change. If I do 4, I'm getting a diminishing returns or even a negative response. It's like there's very small room or margin for error with some of these higher impact drills. So we just have to be a little bit more precise and watch a little closer. And that's not to scare anybody away from doing those things, that's not what I'm trying to do. I just want you to be aware that it might happen faster. Um, but you can still recover somebody, right? You still have high payoffs that you can do. And on the grand scheme of things, it's not like you're cutting somebody open with a scalpel. And if you miss, you're in trouble. Right? One more rep that sends somebody into a little bit of a threat is not the end of the world.
I just don't want to push her migraines, right? And
Yeah.
if what happens, then she won't want to work with me.
Right. Yeah. And if that's the worst thing that happens for her, okay, she'll be okay. But you're right. You want to be careful and just maybe err on the side of caution when you do visual stuff or um, trigeminal stuff. Maybe you stop 1 rep short and test. If you don't get any change in her test, her reassessment, then I would try again and I would push it 1 more. No change, try again, push 1 more. Keep pushing, even if you stop and start like that, until you get a change, positive or negative. It's unlikely that even if you get a negative response in her reassessment, that you'll make a migraine or you'll cause a migraine. If she's already in a migraine, then be extra careful. But if she's not, and you're just testing things, it's doubtful that you're going to trigger a migraine.
Okay.
Okay, so you have a little bit more room to work with, and you can, be confident in your skills and that you can push her a little bit. Because remember, you're going to have to push her a little bit, maybe even a little outside of her comfort zone with some of these drills in order to get the positive change you're looking for.
Brandon, this is Karen. I
You,
just wanted to ask. It's wonderful to see you and everyone,
you
but I
too?
wanted to ask. I have a friend, she's like a niece to me. She's 50 years old now, and her mother has migraines. She has migraines, and now, and she's a court reporter. So she was so enabled by it, or disabled by it actually, that they would let her have a little cot and she could rest whenever she felt something coming on or whatever. But my question is, now they have her on medicine.
and she takes
Mm.
it every 2 days. And do you think these kind of things could help someone like that who obviously feels that this is genetic and blah,
Mm.
blah, blah, and they're trying to control it through diet? Do you think there's a reason for a person like that to think that this could be impactful in a good way for them?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The issue you're going to run into is getting buy-in from her, it sounds like. Um, it- you know, it's um it's tough when somebody already has kind of that, in some ways, a fixed mindset, and they have a hard time trusting anything new or outside of the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
They get a little bit of that white coat syndrome, where it's like, I only trust my doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a doctor, PhD or MD behind your name. I don't trust you. You run into
Yes.
that. The way around it is you show her it works. So pick something easy and impactful. Stuff that I like that just tends to work with most people is smell.
Mm.
So do an assessment and have her smell on one side, and then do a reassessment and then smell on the other side. Usually one of those sides is going to produce a reduction in threat and an immediate change in range of motion or in balance.
Mm.
So it's finding something that she cares about that she will notice a change in the reassessment, and then doing something that's really obvious, like smell,
Mm-hmm.
change it immediately, and you're looking for this like whoa moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like what did you just do to me?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have opened the door.
Yes.
Now you can have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're intrigued. You've piqued their curiosity. That's what you really need to do to change
Mm-hmm.
somebody's, because you're really at that point, you're changing a belief. And that's deep, right? That takes a little bit more than just a casual conversation. They got to feel it and see it, which neurotraining is amazing for that. Yeah.
I love what you're saying because I remember when I was in my early 20s and dancing, and someone, I don't remember who it was in a class, taught us when you have a cramp to just put our top fingers at the top of our lip and press to
Mm.
eliminate the cramps. And it was a miracle,
Mm.
because the cramps last 3 and 4 minutes and they're extremely painful. And then to be able to have something you could do in 3 seconds. So that's what really opened us up for this kind of concept that things like
Yeah.
this can be beneficial, because as young women, we saw it, but of
Yeah.
course it was a journey and so much more we didn't know.
Mm.
So thank you for opening this world up because I love
Yeah.
her dearly and I would love to see her, not suffer so much.
Yeah. Yeah. That's your first hurdle, Karen, is if you can get buy-in from her and just show her, and don't even talk about her migraines in
Mm-hmm.
this case, because here's the other thing that I've found with chronic pain
Mm-hmm.
people is that they become so identified with their pain.
Mhm,
And if
mhm,
that pain identity is tied to this white coat syndrome,
mhm,
it's all in the same neuro tag, as Joe put in the
mhm,
chat,
mhm,
then you're going to have that's a higher hill to climb than
mhm,
if you just put that to the side, like that whole neuro tag, everything
mhm,
involved around that pain identity. Put that to the side for a moment and let's just talk about this nervous system thing and
mhm,
show you that it can change. Okay, separate those two first. That's your first hurdle.
mhm,
Get buy-in, show her that it can change. I can change your nervous system state of threat by changing your brain function with this one simple input. Okay, have we seen that change? You saw it, you get it, you're on board with it, makes sense? Okay, now we can use that to affect your migraines. Okay, that's the opening of the door. You don't get to go through and deal with the migraines and everything until you open that door. And then you can start using all the tools that we had talked about with Kirsten. Okay, all those might be really helpful. And the follow-up questions too, to find out a little bit more about it. That'll give you some, and then we can talk about more ideas, but that's where you want to start.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sandra.
I have a question based on what you were talking about with Kirsten with the minimal effective dose. When you said add one, would it be like you do the drill and it's not enough, you do an assessment and then you just do one more? Or would you wait a little while and then do like 5 and 6 instead of 5? Or do you mix it up? Does that make sense, what I'm asking?
Kinda.
Kinda, no. So when you don't get a response and you say do one more, do you just do one more or do you do
Oh, yeah,
like
okay, I got you.
6?
No, you do 6. Yeah, yeah. If I
Okay.
did 5 and I got no response, okay. We've got a new baseline now, which it's the same baseline because it didn't move. We do the whole thing over. I do 5 plus 1. Yeah. Because once they reset, yeah, there could be some lingering effects after you
Yeah.
do that. You know what I mean? It's like if I do 5 bicep curls, I rest a little bit, but I'm still, working off the work I just did. But if you had no change, it wasn't a lot of work because your nervous system didn't even pay attention to it.
Okay.
Right? So the fear of like doing one more and that sending you into threat is pretty low at that point. Now, if you do that and do one more, no change, and then do one more, no change, and you get to, you've done 50 repetitions, that might confound things a little bit, but I wouldn't be worried about it.
Because it makes me think it could also rotate between drills
You could, yeah. That's
and
a
then
great
just each time add one more. And it's like if you had 5 drills that were different or 3,
Yeah.
and then add one more every time, that could be a fun way to play with it, I guess.
Especially if you know that it's going to be a threatening area. Like if you know somebody's vision is compromised,
Yeah.
you know they have visual issues and it's contributing a lot of threat, I might take this approach where I start with like 3 reps of that smooth pursuit and they get no change. All right, cool. Let's go do bouncing. Let's go do ankle tilts. Let's do a high payoff drill. Come back to it. Now we do 4.
Yeah.
You get a little bit more rest with the eyes and you get a high payoff drill, right? So you come back, your nervous system is feeling good, threat is low, and then I do one more. That's a really great way. If you got the time to do it, that's the best way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank-
yep. I heard something. What happened? Kate, I think now's the time for your vestibular question.
Okay, well, I found this interesting and I'm trying to piece it together. So maybe you can help and maybe it'll be beneficial to somebody else. I'm doing a ton of vestibular work, right? All of the balance progressions, the head tilts, semicircular canals, you name it. And I've also been going down the primitive reflex rabbit hole, right? So I've been trying to integrate a lot of that with my son and just kind of paying attention to my own movements, also based on the DNS stuff that you're doing in the recovery group. And I realized ever since my head injury, if I have to roll over in bed to my right, I actually have to like sit up. I prop my arm over and then I go. I don't actually roll. So when I was doing some of this, floor work kind of stuff, I was like, let's just roll. Let's see if I can actually roll. Holy crap, does rolling make me like talk about that vestibular hangover? Wow. And I'm curious because so my vestibular system is so much better than it was. And I guess I thought it was better than it is based on rolling. Like I couldn't believe how dizzy and how much I instantaneously got like chills and nauseous from rolling over twice on the floor when I'm like, oh, bouncing and I'm doing right. So I'm curious about, is it just an activation level? because I felt like I'm hitting all of the same areas with all of our drills,
Mm-hmm.
but night and day difference between rolling twice versus all of the drills I'm doing.
What's the change? What's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, is it just intensity? It's not like I rolled twice and I was like, whoa. I mean, I could tell the whole room was spinning.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious your take on that because I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that. And I don't know how to connect the dots to make that like be like, oh, that makes sense. I don't
Well,
really know.
I'll ask you again, what's the difference between your normal vestibular training that you're doing and rolling?
Well, okay, position, but I did try it spinning. So we have like a sword game. So I thought I'm gonna try it spinning and do my two. I
Mhm.
still get the same effect.
Okay. And so partly could be a speed thing. Like when you're standing and you spin, it's a little faster than like a standing balance progression. And you're doing a lot more movement, right? Spinning all the way around. Faster head spin, more movement of your body is the big thing there. Like it becomes pretty unstable when you start to move your body in a circle and your head's moving too, right? So much more complex movement. Rolling, the position change is a big factor. Remember your other vestibular organs, saccule, utricle, they flip their responsibilities when you get horizontal, right?
Oh, well, you say right like I knew that, but I didn't.
Okay. Well,
Now I do.
now you know, since they're oriented this way, utricle here,
Yeah.
saccule like this. I think they're flipped actually. But as soon as I go horizontal, whoop,
Oh, that makes
now
sense.
saccule does this, utricle does up and down. So since they're always working, when you lie down, it can change. So if you have an issue with one of those, when you change, it might change your issue. Okay, so the point is of that, like, and that's all fine. We could go down that rabbit hole, but I don't think it's necessary. I think the important thing is that it's just totally changed now. And so now all of your semicircular canal work is different. These are new drills, totally new, starting fresh from zero. Okay, because it all has to integrate. And so now it's integrating with like different organs in a different way. And so when you roll, all that integration has to happen. And if there's an issue, it's a new issue, is the way to think about it. Yeah, this is why the DNS stuff is so powerful. It's because such a simple move, rolling on the floor, can send you into like the spins. What an opportunity you have for removing a lot of threat, right? And you can do it pretty easily, pretty simply. You already know that that's an issue, so I would start maybe just start lying on your back and doing some head turns as you just lie on your back. Work your way up from there, roll onto your side, and maybe do some head turns here. Start training your vestibular system just like you would standing in that lying down position. I have a strong feeling that it would go pretty quickly to retrain it because of the safety that your body feels when you're lying down. When you roll, though, it feels a little less safe because now you're up, you have to stabilize your trunk as you roll over, and that creates instability. So that can be the progression. So, I would just reel it back a little bit, regress it a little bit, make it easier. Yeah, and that's really what the DNS positions are all about. Remember, you start in the isolated position, like the isometric, right? And so the one before rolling would be the side It's like the oblique side sit is what it's called, right? Where you're kind of up on the elbow, your knees bent, and you're kind of on your hip. And you're just in this position. That's where I would start doing your vestibular training. You're almost 90 degrees, not quite. Do your vestibular training here, right? I've been doing a lot of joint mobility in these positions. So I work on my breathing. And then in this position, it's really easy to do like some scapular circles or elbow circles with the arm, right? And that's challenging my trunk stability as I do this, challenging my breathing. And you could also work in like some vestibular work with VORs or just the head turns. So lots of ways to regress it, but kudos, you found some gold, right? Because here's the thing. If you fix that pattern, just try to for a second, imagine how many different ways that pattern shows up in your life. I know you don't roll around on the floor a lot, but rolling is like a precursor to all cross-body movement. So your gait, like you roll better, you walk better, right? And that's, I mean, just right there. If you walk better, even a little bit, everything gets better. But beyond that, yeah, any other movements that's cross pattern or turning around, right? When you're walking, yeah, I mean, I could point to 50,000 exercises in the gym that most people just go out and do, but they can't do this fundamental pattern that it just creates lots of imbalances and poor higher order function. So again, these fundamental patterns, basic developmental patterns, are great to learn for their own sake, but the real gold is in how they transfer to adult movements.
Okay. So Brandon, can I share that I have been doing the pictures that you sent? They are not the best because it looks like they're floating in the air. I can't really see what they're doing, but it makes sense that I keep that knee down, especially on those one where you're on the oblique line side. But anyway,
Yep.
because I have learned with Neuro the minimum effective dose, I just do the pose, not very long. I go to each next one, and I can tell you getting up off the floor for me has changed.
Good.
It's a lot simpler. I'm so thrilled, and I've only done this for a few days.
Yeah, wonderful. That's a great outcome. Great outcome. Getting up and down from the floor is one of the most important things for being able to maintain independence throughout our entire life. That and grip strength. So carry heavy stuff.
Yeah. Lisa helped me with that the other day with
Good.
the grip conversation.
Good. Awesome. Good questions, everybody. Good questions. I feel like Joe hasn't said anything, so he must be holding on to something really big.
Well, I walked into a conversation about spell,
True.
and it's one of the things that I've become more aware of for myself. Like we I don't feel like we hit on it as much as areas where it gets used a lot, and hey, it's here, but we don't go in this big depth of discussing it. I don't feel like to some degree, but yet I notice in all of these studies, there's all these wins if people pay attention to their smells, like smelling different essential oils at night. That's why in the chat I was like, how many people have done the essential oil thing? But at the same time, while having done the essential oil thing, I didn't have the how to assess and reassess process of understanding the essential oil thing, right?
Are you talking about the study where they changed up the essential oils like nightly for 6 weeks? And it was like an elderly population, and they saw a massive increase
And their neuroplasticity.
cognitive ability, neuroplasticity, and memory. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a fascinating study.
And music is the same thing that I often think a lot about from uh, classical music and the different frequencies and the hertz and all of these things. And then of course I'm coming off dolphins, so they're like the masters of sound and all of the vibrational frequencies that whatever they're doing to us because of whatever they can see that we have no idea about. But we know that there's governments that are trying to like outlaw people having experience with this with dolphins, and people who have experiences with dolphins say all of these miraculous things. So that cranial nerve 1 aspect of smell and reassess, and the variety of essential oils being this medicinal medicine. You just took my head down that rabbit hole when I stepped into this conversation. And I also, I said to Zoe and Karen in the chat, like, this could be a downfall of mine. It could be part of my spiritual Tourette's of where it's like, oh, there's a neurotag of a terrible story. Let's correct it. But it's really empowering when someone can sink into that space and realize like, crap, like that is the story I've been telling. And if I just recognize that and I recognize the power of story, then I can quickly reframe that to like the coolest thing that I think life could possibly be, says whoever the person is that's discovering that moment, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so you're touching on a subject that is
Flow and
fascinating.
emotions.
So yeah, that too, and sound healing and frequencies and smell and they're all, I mean, you could go down, take the cranial nerves. There's 12 of them. You could take any of them and you could go down the deepest rabbit hole you can imagine, get lost in Wonderland and never come back, and become the Mad Hatter of smells. You know what I mean? Like you could know everything there is to know about smells. Actually, no, you couldn't. You could try to. And that's great. That's specialization. And there is a case for specialization. We need specialists, right? Pick your battles. Whatever you're passionate about. You can go down that rabbit hole. Mine's flow states. Mine's flow states, and the thing that I'm most passionate about, from a neuro sense, it's hard because I got a lot of them. Some people go down those rabbit holes, and that's great. Here's an example: vagus nerve. The vagus nerve. It's a big old nerve. You can go down that rabbit hole forever. And some people do, and they think that, and they tell people that it's all that there is. It will heal everything. It's the panacea. But we know, because we have a very holistic and comprehensive knowledge of the nervous system and the brain at this point, that it's only one small piece. Yes, you can go down those rabbit holes forever, and yes, it has a connection to everything because the nervous system is a big spider web and everything is connected. However, there is a good argument that we need people with bigger range and bigger breadth of knowledge about lots of different systems and lots of different pieces. So that's kind of where neurotrainers fit, right? We have a big comprehensive knowledge of all the things and how they work together. Okay, that's the foundational piece, right? And then as neurotrainers, we start to specialize again. I mean, you guys probably all know different neurotrainers who have different specialties. I have like a team of neurotrainers that I know have different specialties that I will collaborate with or ask questions to. Like metabolics. It's not my specialty. I know a lot about it. I've taken post-grad classes. I've taken lots of courses. I've read lots of books. I know more than 99% of people out there, but I'm still not the expert, right? I got a guy, and I lost his email, Sandra, but I'm still gonna hook you up with him.
Okay.
I think I'm just gonna message you guys on Instagram or something. That might be the best way, or text you.
Yeah,
But
text better.
yeah, okay, I'll text you guys. But he's my guy because he's the best. I don't know anybody better, right? And then there's another guy. Well, this guy's actually a girl, and she is the best at um, taking what, let's call it like the neurosomatic approach. Like, I don't know Elizabeth personally, or I would call her, right? Because she's so specialized in the neurosomatic part of it with trauma, emotional regulation, that kind of stuff. Like, again, I know a lot about it. I've helped people heal from PTSD. I've helped people heal trauma and stuff. But if there comes a point where I have a question, I'm going to go to the one that knows more than me. Like my specialty is flow states and athletic performance, right? Most people come to me because they got athletes in pain or they want to perform better or they got burnout, their, identity problems, purposelessness, whatever. Does it make sense? Right? We all have our specialties, but it's really important and helpful to have a big range so we know where our specialty fits in the grand scheme of things. And that's what a foundational knowledge in applied neurology is really good for, and why everyone should have it. Sandra.
I've been getting targeted ads on Facebook, and one thing I've noticed is that it seems like there's a lot of people now who they had something work for them, and because it worked for them, they say that it can work for everybody, but it's just one narrow thing. Like you have this, do this, and you'll be fine. Because I did it, but you never hear about the people who tried that and it didn't work for them.
Right. You don't hear about those. And that's what's super frustrating for most people in the market is that there's still so many missing connections, which the nervous system makes those connections. That's the missing piece. And I know now I sound like one of those people that's targeting ads towards you because it worked for me. So neurotraining must work for everybody. But I 100% do believe that it is the holistic, comprehensive understanding that everybody's missing in our space, which is the health and fitness and even the medical space. So I think it should just be foundational knowledge that we all need if you want to be in this space. It's not. So now all we have is all these silos of everybody that had that one thing work for them. So they go all in on that. But they're still missing the big picture. And that leads to so much frustration. Like 99% of my clients come to me so frustrated. It works out great for me because I can charge a lot because they're really frustrated and they'll pay anything to get rid of this thing. But it shouldn't be that way, right? Either they should have come to me first, but neurotrainers, it's just not mainstream yet. And you get a lot of people who are stuck in the white coat syndrome. And they're not going to leave their doctor yet because he's went to all this school and paid so much money for this education. It must be good. He must be the best. That paradigm has to shift, and it is shifting a little bit. But unfortunately, we're still kind of the last stop for most people.
Can I share, Brandon?
Yeah, you can.
I graduated from university in 74. When I went into the program in 70, it covered PT, OT, and speech. By the time I finished school, they siloed it.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so I had to choose which one they would give me the degree in. But when I went in, I was trained in all three of them. So that's silo and probably started before that, but in particular in that area, I was part of that.
Yeah. And it makes sense. Like we know more. We want to teach you more about this one thing. So we're going to take more time to do that. But you miss
It
out.
didn't, yeah, but to me, you have to do a little bit of all of it
Yeah,
for
I
any of
agree.
it. So that's why I appreciate what you all are doing.
And here is my best example for it. Again, remember, athlete. So a lot of my stories are about athletes. But this one's about sports and early specialization. And we know, like scientific research has shown this many times, that kids that specialize early do worse long term. They have more pain, they have more muscle imbalances, they have more time in physical therapy and injuries and all this other stuff. And they can be very, very good at that one sport, but they often burn out before they ever get to any kind of elite level because that's all they do. Whereas a kid that plays multiple sports all year round, always doing something new, is a much more well-rounded athlete, less injuries, less pain, and way less chance of burnout. And they have way more fun. Same thing could be said about learning. Like we need a good breadth of knowledge to make the pattern recognition machine really work hard and be very creative and innovate. That requires different knowledge from different areas. And the earlier we specialize and the harder we go down that specialization, yeah, we'll become very, very skilled at that thing, but we're missing out on a lot of the bigger picture. And our system is set up really poorly so that even these siloed specialists, they don't ever communicate with each other. And so it's just up to the person to try to figure it all out. And most people don't have that comprehensive breadth of knowledge. So it's on them to go learn how all these pieces connect together. And it's just like, it's a system that's set up for failure. But, all we can do is try to fix it and try to do it the way that we know is best. And that is to specialize late, right? Be general, learn all sorts of different things from different modalities, have a solid foundation in neurology. We all have a brain, we should know how to use it, right? That should be step one. And then you can pick. For me, that's been my whole career is like, what am I most interested in at the moment? Let's go learn all I can about that and apply it. Take what works, and then on to the next.
I wanted
You're
to
muted,
just,
Karen. There you go.
I just wanted to share this. Our father was like that, and he was very much into physical fitness. So he exercised twice a day. He was very into nutrition and wellness. And so he used to always say to us, no matter what we did or accomplished, he would say, so what did you learn? And what are you going to do next? We always heard that. It wasn't just, oh, that's so great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like, okay, what you learned from that? Now, what you going to do next? So I laughed when you said that because really it is great joy in learning.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to learn in this world.
You'll never learn it all. That's great. Yeah, that's perfect. I hope I can instill some of that in my own kids.
Mm-hmm.
That curiosity, that always striving to learn more and to never kind of rest on your laurels, right? Yeah. Well said. Thanks, Karen. All right. Anybody got any last words before I gotta go teach stuff about neuro stuff? That's our topic today in the mentorship. Stuff.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are
Fine.
you planning on teaching M8
Eight,
or
no.
M9?
I'm the odd guy.
Okay, that's what I thought. You're the odd guy.
Yeah. I think Andrew's slotted to teach M8 because we're only halfway through M7 right now. So it's kind of like one at a time for us. So it would be M9 that I would I will probably be teaching unless we have a new instructor that's starting. I don't know. But yeah, not gonna be doing M8. Are you doing M8?
Undecided. I
Good.
might be going for a total thyroidectomy, as I found out yesterday. That might be my summer. So
Okay.
to be determined.
Okay.
Still trying to avoid that fate, but I might not be able to anymore.
Okay. My mom had that when she was 21, actually. It takes a little finagling with medication, but very doable. Very doable to live without it and thrive. So we got your back, whatever you need, okay?
Sounds good.
Ev- All right. Everybody else, you're amazing. Thanks for being here. I gotta run and try to stand up this broken desk. So I'll see you all very soon. If you need anything, you know where to find me. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.